back to Movies on the Brain, where we explore the most action-packed and visually stunning films of the year. I'm Jason, and today we're diving into the origin story of a legendary battle, Transformers 1. Directed by Josh Cooley, Transformers 1 takes us back to the very beginning, exploring the rise of two iconic factions and their struggle for control of Cybertron. Featuring the voice talents of Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, and Scarlett Johansson, this animated film gives us a new look at the origins of this epic conflict. In Transformers 1, we witness the birth of an age-old rivalry that shaped the universe as we know it. Get ready to journey across the stars, but beware, this review contains spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, now's the time to catch up before we dive in. Now, obviously, Transformers 1 only just opened in theaters on September 20th, which as of recording this was 3 days ago. But let's look at how it did it's doing in the box office so far. Now, as I just mentioned, it opened in theaters on September 20th, 2024 with a budget of $75 million. On September 17th, it was projected to have a $30 to $40 million opening weekend. On Thursday, September 19th, it made $3.4 million, which was just on preview night. Its opening weekend saw it just finished just over the projections at $39 million, finishing number 2 in the box office, behind Beetlejuice, and ahead of Speak No Evil, which finished at number 3, Never Let Go, which finished at 4, and The Substance at number 6, with Never Let Go and The Substance also opening the same weekend. Now let's get into the plot. Long ago, on the planet of Cybertron, the first 13 Primes, an elite group of warriors, perished in a war with an alien species known as the Quintessence, resulting in the mystic artifact known as the Matrix of Leadership being lost. The absence of the Matrix has resulted in Cybertron's energon rivers drying up, forcing miners in the city of Iacon to mine deposits of energon deep beneath the city's surface to survive. Meanwhile, Sentinel Prime, the head of Cybertron and leader of Iacon, continues to fight the Quintessence and recover the Matrix of Leadership, but to no avail. In Iacon, Energon miner Orion Pax sneaks into an archive room to uncover any clues to the current whereabouts of the Matrix, but is unlucky. After being caught by security, Orion's best friend, D16, saves him from capture. They return to work in the mines with fellow miner Jazz, when fellow miner Jazz gets trapped under a rock. While they manage to rescue him, this also triggers a cave-in that leads to their superior, Elita 1, getting demoted. Sentinel Prime returns to Iacon, relaying that his current expedition has been fruitless, but instructs bots to hold off on all mining work to gather for the Iacon 5000 race. Wanting to prove themselves as more than miners, Orion and D16 secretly enter the race, but lose despite their efforts. However, Sentinel takes a liking to them, and instead of punishing them, as a security guard, give them a new post. Unfortunately, the guard, Darkwing, has a personal dislike for Orion and D16 and sends them to the smelting area where they meet V127. 3 of them discover a chip in the junk with a message from Alpha Trion, one of the Primes, revealing a map of his location on the planet's surface. The 3 hitchhike on a plane carrying crates filled with garbage to the surface, inadvertently bringing Elita with them. They eventually discover a deactivated Trion and a mass grave of the other Primes inside a cavern. After reactivating him, Trion reveals that Sentinel betrayed the Primes, allied with the Quintessence in return for most of Iacon's energon, and secretly removed the miners' transformation cogs to keep them powerless. Trion gives Orion's team the fallen Prime's cogs, allowing them to transform, as well as the chip carrying evidence of Sentinel's treason. However, as Sentinel's soldiers arrive, Trion holds them off to allow Orion and the others to escape, resulting in him being captured and executed by Sentinel. The team plans to expose Sentinel with Trion's chip, but tensions arise as D16 grows increasingly violent, with his new abilities upon learning of Sentinel's treachery, expressing a lust to kill him, much to Orion's concern. They are eventually captured by Cybertron's former High Guard, who have been rebelling against Sentinel. D-16 seizes control of them by defeating their leader Starscream, in single combat. The Sentinel's forces find them. In the ensuing battle, the ship is destroyed and Orion and Alita are buried under debris, while D-16, Starscream, and B-127 are captured along with half of the High Guard. Orion, encouraged by Alita, rallies the uncaptured High Guard members. Meanwhile, D-16 is tortured by Sentinel, learning that he took his idol, Megatronus Prime's cog, before being branded his symbol. Orion comes to D-16's rescue and leads a rebellion with the help of the miners, exposing Sentinel's crime using memory recordings from his first lieutenant, Arachnid, as proof. With Sentinel defamed and defeated, D-16 desires to execute him, but Orion claims it is unnecessary. However, D-16 tries to shoot Sentinel anyway, only to hit Orion instead when he jumps in the way. While initially horrified at his actions, D-16 ultimately lets Orion fall into Cybertron's core before killing Sentinel and taking Megatron as his core. D-16 then renames himself as Megatron and rallies the High Guard to ransack Iacon. Orion is revived by the Primes, receiving the Matrix of Leadership and becoming Optimus Prime. Upon returning to stop Iacon's destruction, Optimus defeats Megatron following a fierce duel. Enraged that Optimus was given the Matrix, Megatron vows revenge after he and the High Guard are exiled for their actions. Afterward, the Matrix restores transformation cogs to all the bots, and Energon flows again, with Optimus christening his followers as Autobots and sending a message to the Quintessence to stay away. At the same time, Megatron renames the High Guard into the Decepticons, seeking control of Cybertron. Now let's look at the cast and some of the other roles they've had. Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax, who later becomes Optimus Prime. Other roles for Chris Hemsworth include Thor in the Marvel movies and TV shows, the Huntsman in Snow White and the Huntsman, and Tyler Rake in the Extraction series. Brian Tyree Henry as D-16 and later becomes Megatron. Other roles for Brian Tyree Henry include Jefferson Davis in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Lemon in Bullet Train, and Bernie Hayes in Godzilla vs. Kong. Scarlett Johansson as Alita 1. Other roles for Scarlett Johansson include Black Widow in the Marvel movies and TV shows, Charlotte in Lost in Translation, and Kelly Jones in Fly Me to the Moon. Keegan-Michael Key as B-127, who later becomes Bumblebee. Other roles for Keegan-Michael Key include Toad in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Slime in If, and Ducky in Toy Story 4. Steve Buscemi as Starscream. Other roles for Steve Buscemi include Wayne in the Hotel Transylvania franchise, Randall Boggs in the Monsters, Inc. franchise, and Horace Nevercracker in Monster House. Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion. Other roles for Lawrence Fishburne include Morpheus in the Matrix franchise, the Bowery King in the John Wick franchise, and Perry White in Man of Steel. John Hamm as Sentinel Prime. Other roles for John Hamm include Don Draper in the TV show Mad Men, JB in Million Dollar Arm, and Admiral Bo Cyclone Simpson in Top Gun Maverick. Isaac C. Singleton Jr. as Darkwing. Other roles for Isaac C. Singleton Jr. include Bosun in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Rhino in Breakout, and Sagat in the Street Fighter V video game. Vanessa Liguori as Arachnid. The roles for Vanessa Liguori include Lola in the TV show The Superman, Perry in the TV show The Sopranos, and the waitress in Town Diary. Jason Conopisos Alvarez as Shockwave. Other roles for Jason Conopisos Alvarez include Officer Hobbs in Bloody Bridget, Lee in Untitled Horror Comedy, and Alvin Lopez in the Starfield video game. John Bailey as Soundwave. Other roles for John Bailey include Grapefruit in the TV show The Annoying Orange, the announcer in Assassination Games, and Ed Getley in the Evil Dead the Game video game. Evan Michael Lee as Jazz. Other roles for Evan Michael Lee include Chris in Best Mom, Boyer in the Wasteland 3 video game, and he also plays a referee in the TV show Tekken Bloodline. James Remar as Zeta Prime. Other roles for James Remar include Randall in The Night Watchman, Sid in the TV show State of Affairs, and Harry Morgan in the TV show Dexter. Jenny Chung as RC in Chromia. Other roles for Jenny Chung include Kat in Second Parent, Coach Evelyn Parker in the TV show Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion, and Amy Chen in The Surface. Josh Cooley as Skywarp. Other roles for Josh Cooley include Jangles the Clown in Inside Out, Officer Philip in the TV movie Toy Story of Terror, and Omega in Up. Dylan Bryan as the injured racer. This has been Dylan Bryan's only role so far. And Steve Bloom as the Iacon 5000 race announcer. Other roles for Steve Blum include Wolverine in the Midnight Suns video game, Sub-Zero in the Mortal Kombat 11 video game, and Wheeljack in Bumblebee. This was actually a really fun movie. But I'll be honest, when the cast was revealed and the first trailer dropped, I was nervous because of the cast, mainly Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry, because I'm not really familiar with Brian Tyree Henry. But man, I really think the whole cast delivered. I thought this animation style was great. Thought the score was phenomenal. And honestly, I really can't think of a bad thing to say about it. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Chris Hemsworth was channeling a young Peter Cullen to the point where there were parts that I actually forgot it was Chris Hemsworth. And honestly, Brian Tyree Henry was my biggest concern after that first trailer dropped. And while he isn't Frank Welker, he absolutely delivers as D16 or Megatron. Steve Buscemi really loves playing villains in animated movies, and I love it. I thought he was really great as Starscream. And honestly, I really feel like this was the first movie in quite some time that I've seen anyway, that the trailers didn't even hint who the true villain was. So the twist of Sentinel Prime being the villain and aligning with the Quintessence actually really shocked me. I really thought it was well done. The team of Josh Cooley, Michael Bay, and Steven Spielberg as the director and producers, respectively, all really got to showcase all the great things they can bring to movies, specifically the Transformers franchise, I believe. And while I have not seen the 1986 movie, which I'm hoping to change pretty soon, I feel like this is the best Transformers movie out there. And this is coming from a Transformers fan, so it was. I mean, it's easy to say that this is the best Transformers movie. Although, after I see the 1986 film, that might change. And honestly, Keegan Michael Key making a reference to his character in the substitute teacher skit from Key and Peele was absolutely comical. And then I also really loved what we saw that I also really loved that we saw what made D16 snap and turn on his own friend. I honestly thought it was really well animated and very well written. Uh, I found some fun facts, not very many, but let's get into them. Transformers 1 is the first Transformers theatrical animated film in 38 years since the Transformers the movie that came out in 1986. Megatron's original name D16 is a reference to the Japanese serial number of the original Generation 1 Megatron toy released by the company Takara in 1984. The letter D is short for Destron, the Japanese name for the Decepticons used in older media. Chris Hemsworth worked with Peter Cullen to get the right voice for a younger Optimus Prime. One of B-127's homemade friends is called AA-tron. This is a reference to a skit from Key and Peele where B-127's voice actor Keegan-Michael Key pronounces the name Aaron as AA-ron. Chris Hemsworth had joined the project after being impressed with the screenplay. Chris Hemsworth made efforts to not use his regular speaking voice for Optimus Prime. In contrast, at the request of Josh Cooley, Keegan-Michael Key remained close to his regular speaking voice for Bumblebee. Early in the film, Alita tells Orion, "You don't have the touch or the power," referencing Steve Bush's song "The Touch" from the Transformers the movie, which includes the lyrics, "You've got the touch, you've got the power." In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, director Josh Cooley claimed that he and his entire generation had been traumatized by the brutal death toll seen in the Transformers the movie, and so he aimed to create a different film that would not leave children emotionally scarred. He also took some inspiration from the 1986 film by hiring a cast of celebrity voice actors. And that's a wrap on my review of Transformers 1. This movie brought us back to where it all began, with stunning visuals and a thrilling story that adds new layers to the Transformers universe. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to like and subscribe to Movies on the Brain for more exciting movie discussions. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Transformers 1 and where you think the franchise might head next. Drop your comments below. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, stay ready to roll out into the next cinematic adventure.